But with Charles Manson, no, he's not guilty. He's a fall guy. Yeah, I mean, everybody has heard the story, all different versions of the stories, and this and that, and everything else. When did Manson say to Tex Watson and Linda Kasabian, "Go take care of this drug burn over on Cielo Drive, and do it"? It didn't happen. They were people that Charlie knew, but he didn't tell them to do that. What the fuck would be in it for him? Same thing with Linda Kasabian. I mean, he might have been involved in the La Bianca killings to help cover up something else. But and the thing with they're always trying to place Charlie there. Gary Hinman murder? No, that's he wasn't even there. That was members of his crew. That was what would Charlie be doing there? Charlie really wasn't involved with Beausoleil. Beausoleil was more involved with Susan Atkins than the other one. His crew was out there doing that shit. Charlie knew better not to be seen. I think he might have been guilty for the La Bianca murders. I think that he went in, tied him up, and left the premises. That's why they came down so hard on him. He didn't have any ideas about race wars and shit. I mean, he might have, but it had nothing to do with Helter Skelter, the Beatles. Well, geez, it's kind of funny how Helter Skelter and the Beatles comes up after he's milling about with Dennis Wilson from the Beach Boys. Doesn't that seem kind of strange? How the fuck the Beatles come up in that? Beatles had fuck all to do with it. It was just a term he liked to use, Helter Skelter, you know? And I mean, Charlie would even tell you, man, I'm not even that really big of a fan of the Beatles. I like the Moody Blues, but my shit is Bing Crosby. I grew up in the fucking 40s and 50s. I'm a fucking beatnik. I ain't a hippie. I don't know what they're doing. These are kids. I just want to eat some little girl pussy. That's what I did. There was no Charlie's, this is a fucking race war and shit. No, Charlie was a pimp. He wanted to take his tribe and isolate them out in Death Valley so he can have a death grip on the pussies. That's what he's guilty of. All Charlie wanted to do was get high, drive around in his dune buggies out in the desert, a fucking endless stash of little girls. No, Charlie is magically placed at all these. He never left that fucking ranch. Charlie never left that fucking ranch. Rarely. Rarely. Who the fuck, nobody's gonna let. And the only people that seen Charlie at Cielo Drive was who? Sharon Tate, she's dead. How the fuck did they know what she saw? He wasn't there. Rudy Altobelli claims he was there. Could have been anybody. Charlie wasn't there. Charlie didn't even. Okay, how the fuck is Charlie so fucking mobile when he didn't even have a driver's license and he supposedly enlisted Kasabian that night to do the driving over to Cielo Drive? Well, then how the fuck is he? Who the fuck drove him to Cielo the first time? Charlie didn't have no license. He's guilty of helping them cover up shit, but the fucking killers are Linda Kasabian, Tex Watson, and Susan Atkins. Charlie got that. He has a right to be that pissed off in all those videos. He's fucking furious. He held that belief till he died. He's like, the shit's a fairy tale. You know? Vincent Bugliosi was a fucking genius and a bit of an actor too for tying that all up like that. What kind of attorney could be like, holy shit, I have to fucking make sense of this clusterfuck? It's kind of interesting though how Helter Skelter, the Beatles, had nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with that. Trying to cover up the Beach Boys shit. Because those are the extended circles he ran in. Had to cover that up. Someone, God knows how he got. He made prison contacts and a couple mob contacts while he was in prison that gave him entree to the upper echelons of Hollywood, and he used them all up. And that's about it. But by doing so, his ragtag bunch of fucking killers, yeah, and they sent them all down. As you could see, all down the line. You know what I mean? I mean, that shit there is terrible. It's like they sent that man to prison, but he's already spent his whole fucking life in prison. What's it matter? It's like, yeah, but he did not even do that. And there was and they had to protect the assets of like Neil Young and Terry Melcher. Terry Melcher's mother was Doris Day. Doris Day was a fucking girlfriend to Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan had ties to all that shit. It was Ronald Reagan's .22 Buntline, supposedly, gun that Charlie had. They had to fry Charlie. Someone had to pay. Someone had to pay the price, and boy did he. The elite fucked up there. I mean, you got to be careful who you let into your sacred shit. How out of place would that look, though? You see Charlie milling around in his buckskin fucking shits in Topanga Canyon, just walking down the street. You're like, oh, dirty hippie. But there were no hippies in Topanga Canyon. They would have like Great Gatsby dress-up parties where they pretended to be hippies. And they dressed, accordingly to the hippie culture. But in reality, there were no fucking hippies. Hippies were just young people, young dropouts playing dress up. But the kind of money they were talking about seems highly exaggerated too back then. Because, if they let the lid off of that shit, they'd be like, wow, back then it was a crime to be a homosexual. I think it still was, yeah. Either way, it was not in vogue, and it's nothing you would tell anybody, and it's shit you did in secret. There were so many homosexuals involved. If the word got out, Dennis Wilson would be exposed, Terry Melcher would be exposed, all them fuckers. Because they were all gay. It was mostly gay. I think that's kind of shitty how they involve the Beatles, but they're like, well, that's a British band, so yeah. But that's the kind of power the Beach Boys were wielding. They used to do shows and they did shows for Ronald Reagan all up until the time he was out of office. They do shows for Donald Trump now. They got mighty political, whatever their dick is in, for the past, yeah, so someone had to pay the price, and he paid it elaborately. Him being racist was just a prison thing, I think. I think he resented the fact that his prison guards were black and he was white in a fucking prison. But there's no race war. That's just acid talk. That's Charlie's acid talk. It wasn't, And the shooting of, and that's what Squeaky Fromm meant by, Charlie did die for us. Well, what do you mean he died for you? Well, he had to go and cover up so many fucking murders. He had to go. He didn't start that shit with Lots of Papa. Another Tex Watson fucking thing. Nobody ever looks at that. What's up with your man Tex? What is he into? Ripping big time drug dealers off? You need to chill the fuck out with the drugs there, Mr. Belladonna. Drug-addled fucking maniac. Charlie didn't even get down like that. He just smoked reefer, take acid, that was it. And when the bikers got involved, that's when shit went haywire. That was the end of the 60s when the straight Satans got involved with their crank underneath the crankshaft and their bikes, fueling up. What's her name there? Susie Cream Cheese. Fucking what's her name? Sadie there, Sadie Atkins. Yeah. If Charlie knew that. I mean, who were the fucking Beach Boys that they were so illuminated? You know? So very illuminated. Privileged. You get to become these songwriters, you get to do this, we'll do all the work for you. No one's ever gonna fuck with you. Presidential ties and it's I mean, I would never conduct myself with a group like that, like Charlie did, but and if I did, I would. And no wonder why he was taking them to the fucking desert. What else could you do with those people? They won't stop fucking up. You know?